Check it out. It's snowing. So as I walk, and hopefully not fall, I want to talk a little bit about, oh, I almost slipped. Maybe I'm not wearing the right kind of shoes. Anyway, I want to talk about the importance of domain expertise, right? You know, when you're supposed to just kind of let someone fail, right? Because the thing is, sometimes there's a healthy balance, just like there's anything with life. So here's an example, right? Let's say you hire someone and then you want them to just, you know, fail and learn fast, right? Really quickly. But the issue is if they don't have domain expertise and then they fail, you know, it could be a really expensive kind of mistake, right? So it's important sometimes to have a healthy balance between, should you hire someone with a lot of experience, because if they have too much experience, then they're really rigid with their ways of thinking, right? Versus someone that is kind of new, no domain expertise, they're very open-minded to trying new things, right? You know, at the same time, a mistake we made, you know, in the past was you hire someone with no domain expertise and you kind of just, they're a smart person, you let them figure it out. You know, it can be, you know, 6 to 7 figure kind of mistake, right? So, you know, I think it's really important to think about that as you grow your business, right? And then, you know, if they're a smart person, sometimes it's okay if you want to rein it in, right? And say, hey, like, you know, we gave you a shot at it already. You know, you gave them specific goals to hit, and they didn't hit those goals. Well, you say, hey, like, you know, why don't we move the goalposts, and why don't I come in and help you, because I have the domain expertise, right? And you got to get them to buy in, of course, too, because obviously sometimes, you know, they've already been doing what they've been doing for a while, and they almost feel like they're getting demoted, right? So there's a healthy balance there. So my point here is, like, if you're gonna hire like a VP, for example, right, should have some kind of domain expertise. This is why you have like a VP of sales or VP of finance, VP of recruiting, because they have a background in that, right? If you hire someone with no experience there, they're gonna start to manage by the numbers, which means it's very similar to how like an outside CEO is hired to a company like, you know, General Electric, for example, right? Let's take Jack Welch. Jack Welch was hired. He did really well in terms of short-term profits for GE, but if you look at their long-term profits, like innovation, things like that, it dropped down because he was just managing by the numbers, right? Same thing with John Scully when he came into Apple from Steve Jobs, former CEO of Pepsi. Just trying not to fall on the black ice here, but keep that in mind, right? Like, you know, John Scully, I was talking to a former employee of Apple over here in Japan, and he said he got there when John Scully was cleaning up a lot of stuff. He cleaned up like a lot of the issues, like, you know, operational things like that. But when it came to innovation afterwards, they just burned through a ton of CEOs, and, you know, the innovation dropped out because the visionary dropped out, right? So it's really important to, when you hire someone with domain expertise, they can help you grow the business because they can think in terms of, you know, the experience that they have, right? So that's all I have to say about that. I think it's just really important because, you know, I made these mistakes a couple of times, and, you know, sometimes you need to pull things back and make adjustments. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments.
Forgot to mention where we were. This is Takayama. It's right before like the gates into the Japanese Alps. It's a good change up from the hustle and bustle of Tokyo. It's a good place to relax. They have onsens up here. Onsens are the baths, very traditional. And then the yokons, or yokon, I can't even pronounce it, but those are like the traditional Japanese inns. It's pretty cool just to see a preserved Japanese town like this. It's a good change up.
Notice there's nobody on the street because it's cold, but it's okay. We're doing this to bring you a little value on how Takayama looks. Pretty cool. I want to talk about why traveling helps grow your business ultimately. I mean, even things like this, like, you know, I was just at 2 shops today, or 1 ramen shop today, and then a Chinese restaurant yesterday ran by Japanese people. And at lunch today, during ramen, the guy took a picture of me, shook my hand, gave me his card, asked where I was from, and it was really personable, right? And personal as well, and gave me a discount too. And see, that kind of stuff in the service base, or any kind of business at all, like, that's customer success, right? Or customer relationships, whatever you want to call it. You know, you have that level of personal touch. It's almost like a friendship, right? And then yesterday, when I was eating dinner. It was ran by a husband and wife, just two people. They're cooking, they run the shop. That shop's been around for 50 years. And in the background, there's pictures of their guests and then different postcards, things like that. So there's a lot of history behind the restaurant. And they took good care of me. You know, they recommended what to eat. You know, they gave me extra food, talked to me in English, asked where I was from, da-da-da. And then the other thing is also at the end when I walked out, she offered to give me an umbrella. I said, no, it's okay. But then she like, you know, reaches out, shakes my hand. And as she grabs my hand, she takes out like a chocolate bar, and it's like her favorite Japanese chocolate bar, and she gives me one. And like, that's really memorable, right? And so like even that kind of stuff, it teaches you like, you know, let's say my marketing agency, right? It teaches you like, or myself, it's like, okay, how do I do the same thing, right? How can I take the perspective that I get from here and then integrate that into what I'm doing as a business, right? Or, you know, the SaaS company or whatever it is exactly, right? So there's just a lot of learnings you get when you're traveling. I talked about in another video about the efficiencies of the Japanese, right? Like the subway is the best in the world. I think the system is the best in the world. It's very efficient. You know what you're gonna get out of it. It's way better than what I've seen with New York. That's perspective too, right? It's like they do everything in a very optimized way. So just some food for thought. Curious to get your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed videos like this, want to grow your business, subscribe and see you in the next one.